Hey, today is Cheryl James's birthday. You know who Cheryl James is. She's Salt of Salt-N-Pepa. That's the only way to say that, right? Hey, so that got me thinking about the first time I heard Salt-N-Pepa, and it turns out that was in 1986 with their song, The Show Stoppa is super fresh. And at the time, they went by the name Super Nature because they weren't, anticipating how big their careers would go. But in this song, The Show Stoppa, it was a great song. I loved it immediately when I heard it because it was a diss track of sorts or an answer track, and because of their style of rapping, and they interpolated a movie that I loved that just came out 2 years earlier that's celebrating its 40th anniversary in just a couple of months here. And I want to see if you recognize it. Hey, my name is Will. I'm the host of 1980s Now. It's a weekly examination of 1980s pop culture and its continued influence today. Check it out on any podcast platform. YouTube, Facebook, all those things. Anyway, so it turns out that Salt-N-Pepa met while working at a Sears in College Point, Queens, back in the 1980s, and also working there alongside them was Salt's then boyfriend, future legendary hip-hop producer Herbie Lovebug. Now, incidentally, also working at the Sears were Kid and Play, who are going to become artists, a pair of amazing hip-hop talents that Herbie's going to produce, and Martin Lawrence, the comedian. And, of course, the three of those folks would appear in the House Party movies that we love as well. Anyway, turns out Herbie needs to do a project for school. He's studying a music production over at the Center of Media Arts. And so he asks his then-girlfriend, Salt, and her friend, Peppa, Salt-N-Pepa. I'm going to do it every time, I think. If they'll sing it. And, look, they could have done anything. Hip-hop is pretty new and, there's lots of opportunities there at the time. But what they do is something that... And look, maybe they never thought anybody would ever hear it, right? It's a college project. But what they do is something that put other artists on the map is they did an answer track, So one artist records a song that becomes really popular. Here's a way to get known. Record a song that's responding to it, even if that song wasn't directed at you. You just jump in there and do it anyway, right? I mean, and there's lots of examples of that. Some very famous ones that you probably didn't know about. That's a whole other conversation. Anyway, so at the time, just a year before, in 1985, there was this huge hit called The Show, which is by Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew. It also features a Slick Rick. And look, just to give you an idea of how big this song is, right? It's Spin Magazine names it the top rap single the year it came out. In the UK, it breaks records as the best-selling rap single at the time. There in the UK, it hits number 7 on their charts. In the US, it hits number 4, I think, on the Billboard Hot R&B chart. Anyway, in that song, that's another fantastic song for good reason. But I bet if you think you don't know it, you might remember it for this reason. They interpolate the theme from Inspector Gadget, a cartoon that was popular at the time. I love Inspector Gadget, by the way. But they had somebody interpolate it, so they didn't sample it. No, they had their keyboardist, recreate it on their keyboard, right? And so that was one of the great things about that song, is when that Inspector Gadget theme would play. Get very excited about that. Anyway, so back to Salt-N-Pepa. I warned you. So Salt-N-Pepa are doing this song with Herbie, and Herbie, again, it's an answer song. So what they do is they respond to Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick, as if that song was asking for it. It wasn't. But so they respond to some of the lyrics, they poke fun at the guys, and it's somewhat of a parody of that, in the very least, certainly in the sound of it, etc., but including the fact that they interpolate a song, as I mentioned. But what they interpolate is not an animated show, no. Instead, they interpolate a movie that's turning 40 in just a couple of months. I'm going to play you a clip from The Show Stoppa is Stupid Fresh. See if you recognize the movie that this is from.
This is called a jam.
Can you see it? You probably picture it in your head, right? Yeah, that is a song that is played by the group that is formed, the sort of ad hoc impromptu group that's formed in Revenge of the Nerds. With you got Booger Presley on the main guitar, right? And me on the mic, your man Lamar. Come on, you know that song. Anyway, I love that movie, even though it's problematic now today. It was certainly fun at the time. Turns 40 this year, Revenge of the Nerds, and The Show Stoppa is Super Fresh. Stupid Fresh interpolated it in there. And I thought that was just brilliant. And I loved it. Oh, and I love samples and interpolation. It's just so much fun. Anyway, so this song at the time, you know, again, it's just a college project. But it turns out that Herbie Lovebug is friends with another gentleman who is, again, just now, he's just a monster producer, well-known, legendary guy in the hip-hop community, Marley Marl, who's produced a number of amazing, you know, again, really popular folks in hip-hop throughout the 1980s. Anyway, so Marley Marl has a radio show there on a station there in New York City, and he starts playing it, you know, as part of his, you know, because he loves the song, so he plays it as part of his routine that he does there on the radio. And folks start calling in, hey, I love the song, play it some more. I want to buy it, but I can't find it anywhere. Well, of course not, because if you recall, it was Herbie's homework. Hopefully he got an A+. He deserves an A+. And extra credit. And maybe a copyright lawsuit. I don't know how that worked out. But so since it's not available on record, a record label wisely steps in, right? Seems like a no-brainer. You got a song that's already got a built-in audience. All you got to do is put it on wax and sell it. So this independent label called Pop Art Records steps in, and they release it as the Show Stoppa is Stupid Fresh by the group Supernature, because they weren't yet known as Salt-N-Pepa. Anyway, that single goes on to become a modest R&B hit, reaching number 46 on the U.S. Billboard R&B chart. And ultimately, after the song and the group are both renamed the Show Stopper, not Stoppa, Stopper, one word, no parenthetical anymore, appears on the group that's then known as Salt-N-Pepa. Appears on their 1986 debut album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, which also includes their breakthrough track, Push It. Push it real good. If you're going to push it real good, right? Hey, anyway, I wonder if you know that. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what hip-hop songs you like. Samples, interpolations, all that sort of thing. Do you remember the first time that you heard Salt-N-Pepa? Might have been Push It. Probably was Push It. Anyway, check me out on 1980s Now. Talk to you then.